And now, ladies and gentlemen, Steve Leonard, the Executive Deputy Chairman at Infocom Development Authority. He is the man behind the building of Smart Singapore and the nurturing of many, many innovative startups. The man who is giving new meaning to the phrase, Pioneers of Singapore. A very warm welcome to Steve.
Okay, so thank you. I think it's a title which is not well deserved, but I appreciate it anyway. Here's what I'd like to do. When I was thinking about thoughts to offer, I spend a lot of time together with teammates and colleagues from A-Star and elsewhere thinking about the future. But sometimes it's important to think about the past and what went on before as some way of thinking about disruption. So I looked at the title for today and this idea of create and transform and disrupt. So what I wanted to do is take a brief extract from a book that I just finished reading, and I think it's helpful to put this into context. For thousands of years, people communicated among distances as quickly as the fastest ship or horse could travel. But electronic communications have nullified distance and shrunk the world. These electronic communications span continents and oceans, revolutionizing the way we deal with each other. These give rise to creative business practices and new forms of crime. Romances have blossomed, secret codes have been devised by some and cracked by others. The benefit of the network has been hyped by its advocates and dismissed by skeptics. Attitudes towards everything from news gathering to social order has to be completely rethought. A technological subculture with its own customs and vocabulary has arisen. We've unleashed the greatest revolution in communications since the development of the printing press. This is from 1852, which was the telegraph. So when we think about these things, there is quantum leaps in every time and generation. And this idea of disruption is, I think, also evidenced when we think about what was previously a business model. So for those that may know, moving a message from one part of the United States to the other in the 1800s involved a horse and a guy carrying a message. When the electronic medium was available, the electric telegraph, it was possible to move a message from one side of the United States to the other in a few seconds. So instead of a 24-day round trip to deliver a message from one side to the other and back again, it became less than a minute. So an entire industry of horses and riders and outposts and ecosystem was immediately made irrelevant. And so what we think about is what's the role that disruption plays. What's the role that new business models play? What role does technology play in making that possible? And so this idea of how do we continue to evolve as Singapore, how do we think of technology, not as something to be feared or something to be minimized, but instead embraced. And the idea that to improve health, to improve education, as the previous panel discussed, to improve energy efficiency, and to improve public safety, and many, many other aspects, technology is an inevitable foundation and underpinning. But now we have to confront issues around data privacy and governance, and what does this mean? So I think the important thing as we get together today and the sessions that you've been having and will have, there are many, many business models that you and other leaders will be building that disrupt current business models. That's the inevitability of the business cycle. The challenge now is how can we be a leader in this regard? How can we push and create and build and innovate in Singapore, but also as a teammate to many other nations around the world? So for us, the create and transform and disrupt theme is very exciting. We love the words, we want to be a part of supporting it, and as part of the government, what we're trying to do is think, what is the right amount? Not too much, not too little. We tend to think of this as a kindling fire that catches, and we have startups and research and a lot of exciting investors such as Ping and others. And now the question is, when should we pull back? It's not our mission to be involved in everything. It's our mission to be useful where appropriate and get out of the way where also the right thing to do. So from that perspective, I welcome opportunities like this because it's a chance to listen and learn, and I hope a chance to share some ideas during the course of the session. Thanks.
Thank you, Steve.